Okay, good morning. Welcome to this Cabinet meeting, 3rd of March 2025. The first item on the agenda is to receive apologies for absence. And I understand we've got apologies from Councillor Callum Ringer. Don't believe there are any other apologies. So moving on to the minutes, first of all, of the 29th of January. Were there any questions or points to raise on those minutes from any of you? No. And second, in respect to the 3rd of February. Anything to raise in respect of those? No? Okay, well, I propose they're both accepted. Second by Councillor Toy, and just check all of those in favour, please. Unanimous. Yeah. Okay, any declarations of interest on items on the agenda and requests for dispensations? No. Item 5 is urgent business. We don't have any urgent business. So therefore, that was item 4. Item 5 is public questions and statements. And we have had a public question submitted. I'll read it out to you. The gentleman I don't think could be here today. My question is, what meetings and or discussions have been held with Norfolk County Council in relation to the proposed content of the local government reorganisation plan for Norfolk, which has to be submitted to the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government on or before 21st of March 2025 by Norfolk County Council, and with what, if any, in close bracket, result. So the County Council have obviously had their, sorry, this is my response to his question. The County Council have had obviously their own focus in respect of local government reorganisations. Whilst we have had our own, we are primarily concerned with the impacts on discretionary services, assets, coastal defences and adaptation, reflecting, of course, the key role the council has played and continues to play in those matters, and of course the local economy too. And it seems likely that the County Council will have their own vision, whereas our concern is certainly on those matters and of course existing service provision. Our meetings have therefore been limited. Our meetings therefore with the County Council have been limited. I believe there has only been one since the white paper was published. We have agreed to share data. So, we are working with some shared data, and hopefully the County Council will do the same in return. But we're happy, of course, to share details of that particular meeting with this individual. Mr. Batch.
I think for the record, we do need to say that who the question has been received from, because if he was here in public. So the question is received from a Mr. John Martin of Holt. We are able to respond to him in writing in that he wasn't able to attend this morning. And there is a full report scheduled to be discussed by full council on the 19th of March, which will outline this authority's position in respect of the government's invitation to submit interim proposals around unitarisation in Norfolk by Friday the 21st of March. So the agenda for your meeting on the 19th of March will be issued next Monday evening on the 10th, and that will be a report which is presented. Essentially, the same report is going to all of the 7 districts, borough and city councils in Norfolk, who will all have meetings in the week of the 17th of March.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you in your absence, Mr. Martin, for your question. Hope that's useful to you, but feel free to get back in touch. Item 6 is member questions, if there are any at this stage. No. Okay, item 7 is recommendations from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Councillor Dixon, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 2 matters that I need to report to you on this morning. The first one concerns the Homelessness Task and Finish Group matter that was considered at our meeting on the 12th of February. There were 2 resolutions that we reached on that topic, and for the record, I should read those out. The first one the portfolio holder for housing and people services writes to central government setting out the situation in North Norfolk regarding the private rental sector, reducing housing stock levels, and the key reasons for the withdrawals, and asks central government for action to address the progressive stock loss and help this council retain and even grow private sector stock levels. That's the first one. And the second one was committee should receive a further report on this subject in July to coincide with the pre-scrutiny of the homeless strategy. So just to put that into context a little bit, of course, we were looking at a progress report. The main report had been already submitted 6 months ago, thereabouts, I believe. I don't have the exact date on that, but it was sometime in the middle of last year. And I ought to just give a little bit of context to that as well, because I think some of the discussions probably will help to reinforce what I've just read out to you. And I think there are 3 points that I really need to make. The first one is the need to incorporate any benefits from the second homes council tax premium. So that's and investing in the upstream prevention of homelessness, investment partnerships, refurbishing long-term homes, etc. That's what that was referring to. And the second point, which was a theme in discussions, was working more proactively with partner organisations. And I think the ones that we considered in particular were Emmaus, Leeway, Eastern Landlords Forum, and the CPRE. And the third point that I just need to add is the need to incorporate, when as possible, timelines to the streams of work that are in progress, so that it sets up, for example, it would set up, if there's an investment partnership, then there's I believe there's a time scale that could go in there, but that's some point in the future. So on the term ongoing, which was, I think, used a number of occasions, it would be really helpful if there was some indication of timelines. So there are the 3 sort of contextual points that relate to those 2 recommendations. I just move on to the second topic, which was the corporate plan for 23-27. That was the action plan 24-25. And the committee resolved to note the corporate plan. Second, that the cabinet undertakes a review of the available options to analyse, this is in relation to the mobile phone coverage, analyse the reasons why mobile phone masts fail. I think that should be the reason why mobile phone mast applications fail. The second is develop a map of signal not spots from data gathered by the current surveying programme. And third, support providers to improve mobile signal strength. And the final one was to evaluate how it communicates its actions regarding this issue to both residents and businesses. That, Mr. Chairman, concludes the recommendations from Overview and Scrutiny on the 12th of February.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got Councillor Jill Boyle, first of all.
Good morning, thank you. On looking at the second recommendation, the actual wording of the recommendation, I think at the time, was the portfolio holder director reviews options to improve mobile signal hotspots, not spots, and the reasons why mast applications fail, and communicate its actions to residents and businesses. I understand Nigel's elaboration of it, but that is quite a lot longer than the wording we'd actually agreed. I recalled it because we spent quite a time trying to work out exactly what to say, and I think that was what was agreed. Thank you.
Okay, so you're saying that, can I just borrow this a second, Karen? So you're saying that the recommendation to 0.1 to 4, it was actually a little bit more restrained or shorter. Okay. Can you comment on that?
Mr. Chairman, I think you've obviously got two interpretations. These are not confirmed yet, and they will be confirmed next week. I would suggest that we leave that until the committee agrees those. I don't think that it's helpful today to go any further than that.
Okay, no, that's useful. Okay, thanks. So we'll leave that, the second part of the recommendations in abeyance then, subject to any further discussions, of course, on the homeless task and finished group recommendations. I don't know if that's what you wanted to mention.
I'd like to bring that up as well, that
Okay.
there were 2 recommendations which were brought forward, and I will follow those recommendations. Anything else that the committee decides in public, I will definitely follow. The ongoing remark is for things that are ongoing, like keep doing, or, so I feel that we're doing all that we can, and I will take those recommendations. But as for the contextual, if anybody sees the overview and scrutiny meeting, you'll see that I've answered these questions. So I will do what the committee has asked me to in those recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Toy.
Yeah, so in relation to the second part to do with mobile phone masts and things, obviously we've indicated that we've started the work on that. There was I think we mentioned it before council and for people to bring us their information regarding the not spots data that will be gathered from the people that are doing that. We will just bring that in, and again, happy to go with a recommendation. Whilst this recommendation has some clear things here, I think making it more open so we actually can find more if need be, rather than finding 4 things. I'd like it to be my suggestion, if the committee wants to consider that we have something that gives us the ability to actually look at the whole thing and not necessarily focusing on a few things. So I just offer that back as a thought on that. But we've already started on this and happy to follow up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Toy. I mean, I'm taking your name in vain, really, because I did offer your services a few times, I think, during the discussion on this at the committee, in respect of our ongoing sort of supporting role in trying to realise such improvements. So if we leave though that section in abeyance at this time and simply approve the initial section on the homelessness task and finished group, so I'll stop nicking your papers now. If that's okay, just to accept those recommendations and accept that they will have a further discussion in respect to the recommendations on the second part, and we'll deal with those in the near future. Is that okay? Is that acceptable?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's absolutely fine. I think it is always the case, or more often than not, it is the case that when overview and scrutiny recommendations come to you, they are not confirmed minutes because the timing of the 2 sets of meetings is such that they are yet to be confirmed. But I would encourage, however, anybody who, whether they be a committee member or whether they be anybody else, if they see something in the draft, in the cabinet minutes that they think is incorrect, it would be really helpful if they drew them to my attention at the earliest possibility.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the guidance. Okay. Okay. So happy to accept the first part of those recommendations. Yeah. Can I? Do we need to take a vote on that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll propose, seconded by Councillor John Toy. All of those in favour, please. Thank you. Brilliant. Item 8 is the annual action plan. And as per previous discussions at the Overview and Scrutiny Committee in the last cabinet, we have developed a reduced annual action plan reflecting the need to create capacity for local government reorganisation and devolution discussions and events, and reflecting that there may be actually little continuity in terms of areas such as policy development that we would hand on to a successor authority. The annual action plan also prioritises ongoing strategic priorities and work or projects such as the Munster Coastal Scheme and ongoing adaptation work, Fakenham Leisure Centre and other sports facilities, the local plan and continued housing delivery where it's been clear that we should continue, food waste and plastic film collection, and longer term coordination of activity in support of the development of the Bacton Energy Hub. Also recognises the need to retain existing services and infrastructure in support of services in the economy, particularly the tourism economy. And clearly the local challenges in terms of housing and homelessness and the natural environment we have here in North Norfolk haven't changed. But this reduced action plan concedes we will not manage to achieve everything set out in the prior approved corporate plan, but clearly sets out our priorities and our prioritizations. Not much further to say. As you can see, we've reduced the number of targets. We've taken out any sort of, well, most vestiges of any sort of policy development. We've replaced them with certain other things in some instances, but continued razor sharp focus on the strategic project, service delivery, and that change and transition. So present that to you. Were there any questions or points you want to raise? Councillor Toy, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, obviously, you know, you've laid out how we've had to condense this down and with LGR. There was if I can find the right bit, it's investing in our local economy infrastructure. I just wanted to item 3 where it talks about partners in Stalham and the High Street Action Force, but actually I would encourage all communities to develop a vision. It mentions earlier in the document about neighbourhood plans. I think that will help them focus through these changing times on opportunities and funding, and it will also help us to assist them in their vision for their future. So I just wanted to add that in there to encourage people to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Toy. Okay, Councillor Brown, go ahead.
Yes, just to follow on from that, Mr. Chairman, it was a question asked of me as the planning portfolio holder in full council by the members for Stalham, and I'm pleased to say that we are in the process of getting dates in the diary to meet with them to progress this this plan, this intention to review a vision for Stalham. So that is on track, Mr. Chairman.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Sounds like you saw right. Councillor Shires, go ahead.
Yeah, we had some conversation about most recently, I would suggest it would be, although everything seems to have gone in a bit of a blur in the last weeks with the budget setting process. So forgive me if I'm being repetitive. If you look at action 5 and the tourism infrastructure assets, where we have spoken previously about what we would do to safeguard those in the face of local government reorganisation, that clearly is a priority for us going forward. So again, it's my plea, if any community has an asset that they wish to work with us to safeguard going forward, please do get in touch. It will be an ongoing conversation over the next year and the years until we get into the reorganisation.
Yeah, thank you. And the parish briefings, I think, were very well received that we carried out in Northreps and Thursford. Certainly prompted quite a few more conversations following and some representations. But actually, realization, I think, that we need to be working together within our communities to get the best outcome here. There are some threats, to be honest, in terms of the existence of certain discretionary assets and services moving forward that we need to overcome and actually continue towards making the best of the opportunities that arise from devolution, at least in terms of public transport, adult skills and and other things where I think we really can. But, you know, in terms of the devolution, we've got to mitigate against some unintended impacts, perhaps, in terms of the role that we play, certainly in the local tourism economy, which I think is distinct, not just on a regional but a national level. You're not seeing authorities like ourselves that own an asset portfolio that is as rich, really, anywhere else. So it commendable, really, that all of the previous all of the previous councils, as in on an electoral period, have done so much work to retain that over so many decades. Councillor Withington, go ahead.
Thank you. It sort of follows up on that point, really, in the fact that, you know, I'm pleased to see the engagement side of this that's included in this. And as you say, the parish meetings were well received and emphasised our focus on supporting the communities. And I think we're already doing this and moving forward with this, and that's reflected in the item 1 of investing in our local economy and infrastructure. I just want to highlight that already coming up, we've got 3 events in the next 6 weeks that are business engagement events that we've procured through a partner provider. So we've got the Holcombe event, the Sheringham Little Theatre events for cultural and arts businesses, and at Woodlands we've got the Business Success Awards event as well. So, you know, we're already moving forward on this, although, you know, and it's an exciting, in some ways it's an exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Difficult, challenging, but exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry to miss that first event, which is really disappointing. But again, these discussions, say, for devolution and LGR, are coming at real pace now. Okay. So the recommendation, I believe, is to approve the corporate annual action plan for 25-26. And I also just wanted to thank all officers for their work towards the implementation of this document and work. I would propose this is accepted, seconded by Councillor Fredericks. And can I take a vote of all of those in favour, please? Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you. Item 9 is the budget monitoring for the period 10. Councillor Shires.
Thank you very much. I myself and Officer Stankley announced at the budget setting meeting last week that we were looking for a more positive budget monitoring report for period 10, having previously reported quite substantial deficits. When we started the budget monitoring for this year, we changed the way that we reported, whereas we would have reported in the moment monitoring, we've reported where we forecasted where we were at year end. So that has enabled us throughout the monitoring period to really see where we can make changes to put us in the position that we see today. So a huge thank you to Officer Stankley and the entire team, but also the staff in the council who've really risen to this year's challenge alongside the budget that we just set last week. And in tandem with that, I'd like to thank the Overview and Scrutiny Committee for working with me to ensure we've got an effective monitoring process, and we can see the pages where we have, it's not appendix linked, it's where the proposed savings and income is, and then the savings yet to be identified. We monitored those closely throughout the year. So a huge thank you to everybody that took part in that process. The point that I just wanted to raise today was the changes to the capital programme, which you will see on they begin on page 45, and this is in the majority due to additional grant funding, which we've secured for various things, and then 5.5.7 is just where the project has been completed with the IT team, so we'll just be removing that. So aside from that, we're in a positive place, far more positive than I reported previously. That doesn't mean we're taking our foot off the gas. It means that we did what we needed to do this year, so we know where we're going in the up and coming years. So I just ask that you all bear with me through the budget monitoring process. as we step into the next financial year, but also just to remind Cabinet colleagues that we have a deficit for the following year. So we'll be going full steam ahead on that. So whilst you've worked very hard alongside me to get this budget delivered, we will be starting the next budget process just as soon as we did last year.
Okay, thank you, councillor Shires, and certainly thank officers and members for moving us towards this position, and not without some pain. It has been difficult realising many of those savings and service delivery changes to get to that position in the face of significant inflationary pressures and temporary accommodation costs particularly. Content obviously with the current position as things stand in period 10, but certainly wouldn't say happy because it's not been without some great difficulties. I'm happy to second the recommendations if you are happy to propose them. Can I just check there are any questions before we move on? No. Okay. All right then. All of those in favour of the recommendations that are set out both on the front sheet and the agenda item. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's unanimous. Item 10 is the Coastwise Haysborough Community Car Park delegations of contracts and lease. Just to please note, there is an exempt appendices here with this item. So if there's anything you wish to discuss within that, we can go into a closed session and then come back in. But I think can hopefully avoid doing so. Councillor Bathwaite.
Yes, I'd like to recommend that we proceed with this. The project has been under planning for some time now. Nature has been very kind this winter and allowed us a little breather so far, but March has come in like a lamb and might go out like a lion, so we can't rely on the nature continuing to be so kind. I would like to move forward on this as soon as possible, and I ask for everybody's cooperation in seeing this project through. Thank you.
Yeah, well, what a wonderful collaboration, really, with the community and different partners. And to get to this position, appreciate not there yet, but all the work that's been done is really fantastic, and I think demonstrates the merits of this approach. That we can certainly what's the word? Well, I mean, certainly demonstrate, but almost show off, to be honest, in terms of the approach that the rest of the country can follow. Obviously, it's significantly in the frame. Haysborough on a national level will certainly change over time as perhaps focuses on other committees that are the prominence, as it were, and facing the full pressure of coastal change. But we really welcome this work. Anything else just to ask, do any officers want to add anything? Are you happy with that? Anything you wanted to add in?
I think all the details are in the report. It's a really great opportunity to continue working with the parish of Haysborough, a key project for them as a village and one of several others that, moving forwards over the next couple of years. So your support will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, as you say, it's just one project, in fact, among others. And so that's very welcome. Councillor Shires and then Councillor.
So this conversation actually began when I was the local member for Haysborough. So I'm really, really pleased to see that we've got to where we have, but I just wanted to extend my gratitude to Officer Goodliff behind me, who has consistently, in the face of some difficulty in coming to where we are today, has shown up for Haysborough time and time again and faced some challenging conversation through the consultation period, but has done it with such grace that he is wholly welcomed by Haysborough Parish Council and the community, which is why the Coastwise Partnership for Haysborough is now so strong. So I just want to offer my thank you for the work that you've done on behalf of the residents of Haysborough.
Yeah, well done to you and all officers that have been involved in this ongoing work. Councillor Varley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point members to section 9 of a report, the net zero aspects, and I was absolutely delighted to read through all of this. Obviously, a substantial project like this would have the ability to produce carbon, but it's quite clear that our fantastic officers are going through the processes. You know, what we are working with as an organisation, the net zero assessments, and ensuring that these works are mitigated. So it was lovely to read, and I thank the officers for all the fantastic work they've done.
Yeah, and thank you for the work also in terms of developing the press release prior to this, which I think was also well received. Okay, so the two recommendations in terms of the authorizations are set out in the report. Presumably they are promoted.
Yeah, I'd like to
proposed by
propose,
yourselves.
if I may.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. You wanted to second them, Councillor Varley. Okay. Can I have a vote of all of those in favour, please? Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you for your time. Okay, so in terms of remaining items, there's no reason to exclude press and public. We obviously had an exempt appendix under the previous item that, you know, we've decided there's nothing within there. I presume we need to go back and discuss, so that draws this meeting to a close. Thank you ever so much for your time.